Hello everybody. The reason why I'm creating this video today is because there's been, an awful lot of coronavirus case outbreaks recently in meat factories and food production factories. I guess an awful lot have been recorded over the past week or two or so, and where like hundreds of cases have been attributed to, uh, I guess, food production based environments. And I guess the one thing I find extremely unusual about that is the fact that we have various other different types of factories in Ireland. We have textile factories, we have pharmaceutical factories, we have IT production based factories. Yet, like, why are only food production based factories being affected? There's you don't hear of like an outbreak of coronavirus cases in Tesco stores, or you don't hear about an outbreak of coronavirus cases in Dunnes stores or Aldi's or Lidl's. And these are the places which have been open for the past I guess 5 6 months, like during the whole duration of this lockdown. And there has been no real rise or I guess an increase of cases in those environments. So like we have to question this, and the way it seems is that they're affecting our foods. They're going to start affecting our food supply chains. Once they start affecting our food supply chains, then he could put us into a situation of where either A, food is going to be heavily inflated to the point of where very it's going to be more and more like unaffordable, or B, there will just genuinely be extreme food shortages in the country. And I believe as it stands, I think about 80 to 90% of our actual food at the moment is actually exported abroad. And an awful lot of the meat, beef in particular, that we actually have in the country is actually imported from countries such as Brazil. And that's going on the back of the whole Mercosur deal, which is another situation in itself, where there was actually Brazilian farmers burning off Amazon forestry to basically create farmland to produce beef, to supply this beef into Europe. So the fact that they're more than willing to burn down forestry and trees, which are a source of oxygen effectively, to produce beef on a mass production scale level, with very low quality. I think that's something we have to question the EU about, because that was a deal that was created between the EU and Brazil. So as you can see, I'm surrounded by beautiful plush apples which are going to be ripening very soon. And I guess the one thing that humans have done a lot over the past few decades or so is we've become very heavily reliant on supermarket chain giants such as SuperValu, Tesco, Dunnes, Aldi, Lidl. And I think we really need to start beginning to detract away from businesses like that and actually focus on her local produce, actually stopping the amount for foods from being exported, because we don't need to export 80 to 90% of our food only to replace that with lower grade quality meats or foods in particular. And the one thing that Ireland has always had to its defence is the fact that we are so, in terms of our food quality or meat quality and everything, it's some of the best and finest in the world. And so we need to keep the food here. It's better off in Ireland than it is better off in countries such as France, Spain, Italy or Germany. They have their own farms, they're big massive countries, so we have to start looking after ourselves and start feeding ourselves. But the one thing I found very unusual was the fact that they've actually deployed the army down to Tipperary, because there's been an outbreak of, I think, about 300 cases in a mushroom farm down in Tipperary. So, like, ha, in what other occasions or instances are they now going to actually unleash the army, out onto the general public and setting up quarantine tents and all this sort of stuff? If there's an outbreak of coronavirus cases in a school, are they going to send the army along and quarantine people's children away from their families? Because that could happen. And the way it's going, I believe that they're going to actually start making children wear badges to show whether or not they've been vaccinated or not. And I'm not sure, we can only go as far back as World War II, where I believe they made the Jews wear yellow stars, or the Star of David, to show that they were Jews. So like the fact that they're bringing that sentiment back now, like I guess nearly 80, 90 years later, and they're going to start making their children wear yellow badges to show whether or not they've been vaccines, like that's pretty scary in itself. And as far as I know, I think they're bringing in this blue light, green light system, where basically, if your child is in a school that has been immunised, it's going to be categorised as a blue school. So, like, they're basically going to start like segregating children and schools away from each other, where for like some schools will be vaccinated and some schools not. And I guess the outcome from that is an awful lot of parents are actually going to start pulling their children out of schools, because like they're going to want to homeschool them, because like why are they going to force their children to be vaccinated, like especially with a vaccine that hasn't been proven to be safe or shown clinical efficacy. So yeah, this is the madness of Ireland 2020 continuing, where things literally don't make sense, things don't add up. Once again, there's so many different workplaces all across the country that have been completely like unaffected by this coronavirus situation, like where like there hasn't been this mass like huge amount of like coronavirus cases like just pop up all over the country. So like this is something that's worth speculating about, and yeah, it's worth having an inquiry into anyways. Thanks very much for listening.